threats, and that's why I liked initially Name going towards that Sivir pick, but you and I talked about it a bit upstairs before coming into this game, that, you know, the first pick Sivir, because WE have such a limited champion pool on so many members, it doesn't make sense as opposed to just trying to over-deny and force WE into something uncomfortable.
Yeah, it telegraphs so much when you first pick Sivir, so we'll see what happens in this particular draft. We are going to swap sides, of course, and Twisted Fate, Scion, and Kalista are all going to see bans by King. Ryze, Alistar, and Yasuo are the bans, though, for World Elite, so sticking especially to that Yasuo ban, that's quite interesting, but both Insec and Korn have shown up on the champion recently, and they're going to do what we said they just should do.
I think
they're going to consider the first pick.
It needs to be Rek'Sai. I honestly...
That's true.
I think that Hue only has impact on Rek'Sai.
I mean, he might get Gragas here, and Spirit might even opt for Gragas and give Huey his Rek'Sai, so maybe they feel like they don't have to pick it right now. But again, I understand Name Sivir is great. I think King play with a champion like Sivir very well, but they have to be a bit more consistent in their early games because Sivir is best when ahead, and they do first pick it, but World Elite have a whole lot open to them still, and there's the Nautilus already picked.
The Nautilus flex pick, so not deciding to go for the Hecarim. I expect that will be second rotation for King just because the synergy between Hecarim and Sivir is so powerful. If King don't second rotate Hecarim, Rek'Sai here, I'm going to be pretty upset.
Well, we'll have to find out here as we're also considering a different pick for Xie in that mid lane here, maybe taking away the Victor from Korn. They are going to lock it in. It does go away. So interesting stuff. We do have Echo open as well as Korn's going to flash. That one has played it a couple of times already in the LPL. I do like the takeaway though of the Victor. I think Xie's shown promise on that champion as well.
No, I completely agree. Victor is a high priority pick right now, although he doesn't actually have the largest win rate in LPL. I believe he has a 37% pick and ban rate, and then he's only won 13 games so far.
I mean, that's a decent chunk, I guess, but not...
Out of 27.
That's, yeah, maybe not as much. That's real hard, man. As Echo and Rek'Sai are the picks here for King. Good read on the Rek'Sai pick there for Huey. Makes a lot of sense, but that does mean either Korn or Insec are going to get Echo.
Doesn't matter, got Rek'Sai.
Yep. I mean, as you said, that's what they want. That is going to give Spirit Gragas most likely, but I think I agree. Huey is just best on Rek'Sai.
And I don't want people to gather the wrong impression from me, and if the Gragas versus Rek'Sai. I definitely think that Gragas is the higher power pick and just everything that he's able to do, but so many junglers really only find their stride on Rek'Sai. She just has so many tools, and she's very, I'm going to say she's easier to play and to be powerful on than Gragas.
Yeah, I mean, Huey's definitely shown a lot of promise on the champion. I think his first Rek'Sai game in the LPL got him a pentakill, actually. So clearly familiar with the champion as Gragas and Jinx are World Elite's first two picks again. Just sticking to comfort here for World Elite. So King, you see basically exactly the same comp as last game. What's your answer this time? Because something has to change in this draft.
And on the same side, WE doing exactly the same thing, like you said, picking up that Jinx again. Fantastic to see Mystic play it. You've got great zone control and reset already from Gragas. Spirit having that cask for the reset, as well as the zone control and AoE power from Xie's Victor.
Yeah, and I do like, again, the hover of Morgana here for Zero. I liked it against the Nautilus, but I think Insect's going to get Vladimir. Someone's getting Vladimir, because that's the pick they've made.
It's
but
Korn.
Vladmorg. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, God, Insect.
No, you have to think
here
that...
comes the Echo.
I hope it's Korn in the mid lane. I really like the Vladimir-Victor matchup, just because if you think about Victor's AoE, the gravitational field, Chaos Storm, thing like that, Vlad has W.
Yep.
Vlad just pools. He doesn't care.
Nope, and he's pretty healthy in the mid lane there as well. But again, a lot of short mid-range mages seeing play, likes of Cassiopeia, Victor, even Vladimir in there as well. If you have sustain, you generally beat out the other lanes once you get to that point.
Yeah, level 9 is going to be the big power point for Vladimir just because he has 5 points in his queue. It's all about that CDR rotation through his abilities.
And that's actually last pick Hecarim for World Elite, so going to give Aluka that champion up. They did flex the Nautilus, of course, but Aluka's not had nearly the same success on a champion like Hecarim.
He has a 30% win rate on Hecarim.
That is not very high.
No, but it is also going to be Insect taking Vladimir. I'm telling you, the Vlad into Victor is good.
Okay, well, Korn apparently wants the other half of the matchup here. Going to take Echo, by the looks of things, into that 1v1. But Insect going to carry champion, I guess, there on the Vladimir. Wants a lot of scaling. That's a really weird matchup, actually.
It's a really weird pick for Insect. We talked about his champion pool and trying to tape it together and figure out where he actually sits. And where he's actually comfortable, and apparently it's going to be on Vlad.
Well, Vlad today here into the Heck Room for Insect. Huey back on Rek'Sai into Spirits Gragas to become for both of those junglers. And the mid lane here, Korn's going to try his hand on a bit more of an assassin this time on the Echo into the Victor.
And Korn has already shown his Echo. It had a fantastic debut performance from him, able to carry a game on it. So we'll see if he finds the same success this time around.
Name back in the matchup. He really didn't like in game 1 though. Siva into Jinx once more, and actually the same
exactly the same.
As well. Yeah, yep. Morgana into Nautilus as well.
And of course, they see the Nautilus flex, which pretty much forces the Morgana out because it is the only true counter pick to Nautilus.
Yeah, and again, I like Series Morgana a lot. King put a lot of good elements together in game number 1, but they'll need a little bit more, I feel like, to really make sure they get there.
The big thing that's really assuring for me here is the fact that Huey got Rek'Sai.
Yep.
I think he needs that champion to perform. I think that this can be the turn for King, and we might see a split. That said, WE, if they carry over the same momentum that they had in first game, this should be pretty easy. Yeah,
and they've got, again, a similar looking competition. I guess we'll find out soon as we are going to get onto the Rift for game number 2. And welcome back for our second game between World Elite and King as WE find themselves up a game here in this particular series. But 2 5-man stacks here. King going to run into World Elite. What? Spirit going to eat a Time Winder. That's a lot of damage. Double on Burrow. Aluka's already dead. Conan maybe follow there as well as everyone's going to flash. No, just Insect. There's Name and Korn going back in. Q-Lance again from Korn. And that's 2 kills in about as many seconds. 1 for Insect and 1 for Huey.
What?
Yep.
Why would you ever invade Rek'Sai with Radar Tremor Sense? That was a fantastic setup from King there. It nets them 2 kills. And this is what we were talking about. You know, they were playing so well from behind, 5K, 7K in these big 5v5s. Now they're definitely ahead.
They are. And it's can King carry this lead through here? It's 1,000 gold up in a minute 30, which is pretty insane as far as early game leads goes. And King, we're going to look for the lane swap, but again, nicely read by World Elite, with really all of the wards concentrated on the blue buff brush of death around there that we just saw. So it is going to be standard lanes, albeit with the duo lanes in the top lane instead. But King, they've got a lead here. It's early on, but if history has been any indicator, they are good at carrying this sort of momentum.
Yeah, let's see if they're able to carry this into mid-game as 0.
Face checks the brush, finds Conan. Name really wants it. The level 1 all-in. Apparently that's the King duo lane special.
Wow. So many face checks.
Yeah.
So little time.
Well, we are 2 minutes into the game, and that's 2 face checks already, so there's a pretty consistent face check rate. Great hook from Conan, but a nice binding as well. Name, though, going to eat too much damage. You can't trade with Jinx at level 1. And we can see, again, Siva's problems in this matchup.
I'm glad that you pointed out the level 1, because with the rocket launcher, of course, Jinx starting her Q, she just has so much range over Sivir. She's going to get free auto attack, so there's nothing Sivir can do, especially starting Ricochet, as opposed to the Boomerang Blade. No. And that's why it's important to say level 1, Jinx is going to get the better of that.
We've seen Mystic, especially with the likes of Thresh in his lane, played by Conan, loves to level 2 all-in people, so Nami going to have to play a bit more defensive, probably typically in the Morgana matchup anyway, but Insect already forcing Aluka back. He got that first kill and the assist. He's got so many early game items, and he's off to a great start already.
5 pots, cloth armor, and some Pumas.
It's pretty good stuff. Some nice sneakers there as well. You can see Insect still early levels on the Vlad, does have to be careful, but things going well. Korn looking even in the mid lane there as well. Actually was getting some vision, I think, trying to spot Spirit earlier on, but isn't seen there again, just starting to clear out some waves. And we'll reset a bit as it calms down after the crazy level 1.
Yeah, we do see Huey playing to topside, obviously, because Name and... hold on.
Yeah, going for Mystic. Umbaro does land. They want Conan.
Oh, beautiful.
Great binding there as well, but Nautilus going to get locked up for a bit longer. Damages through. Huey actually gets ignited there. The last auto is good for Name. Mystic overextending for the kill. Might find himself dead. 0 just needs another binding. Great flash from Mystic. Name almost dead, but everyone's going to live except Conan.
Wow, great flash from Mystic to save his life right there. Of course, you do get the flash off of the Jinx, so that's very big, especially if Rek'Sai looks to a return gank on this lane. Look for Mystic to be very cautious and hold the wave a little bit closer to his lane. The thing that I want to point out is that Conan had his ward available. If you know that you're going to go down in a situation like that as the support, ward the bush.
Yeah.
Because effectively the dropping of vision meant that Mystic couldn't trade 1-for-1 in that instance because he lost vision of Huey's Rek'Sai as he walked into bush.
And we talked about the matchup being tricky for Siva. Name going to return now with a pickaxe already through with an early buy with 2 assists and that first early kill. Spirit is taking away the Raptors on King's side of the map, so a little bit of counter jungling there coming through. But Nami's going to be nice and happy, and Mystic's only got an Avarice Blade. Those stats are not created equal.
Oh, hold on, though. Mid lane.
Conan maybe going to get stunned up there. A little too aggressive there as Korn is going to step in. The kill goes down to 0. No idea what Conan was doing there.
He was standing with 0, holding hands in that bush.
I mean, I guess wanted to try and get a gank going there, but things go from bad to worse for the dual landers. They've got Spirit now as well. Binding goes wide there, but Spirit's got nowhere good to go. Great gravity field, though, to keep Xie out of it, but he gets slapped by the passive. He's out of mana here as well. All of King's lanes are starting to explode, except Insec, who's just casually up 10 CS on the bottom side.
Blue Sway choose, though, from Spirit, the nice dodge on the binding, and like you said, pointing out the gravitational field, setting it down on that Raptor zone so they couldn't get melee range and really collapse onto him. But now, again.
More fights here. Huey, Black Shielded, though, can't quite go in for that one as Nami going to push the wave in here. But Huey might even start proxying this wave on the top side. And Mystic is very far behind this time.
We talked about how King are so punishing once they're ahead and snowballing the game, and this is exactly what we were talking about. They're just running away with this. They have so many different pressure points on the map that Huey can freely walk in wherever he wants, knowing that he's already in an advantage.
Yeah, and it's only going to get easier for that mobility once he gets the ulti there as well. So makes sense why a lot of these, there are basically good Rek'Sai players in the LPL, because it does suit a certain style.
Jinx, yeah.
Yeah, Mystic. No flash there, puts the chompers down. Spirit is in the area, but that's going to be a kill. Huey gets another one for himself, and these repeat ganks have been so good.
And he's repeating because he knows that Jinx doesn't have the flash. Unfortunately, the wave bounced off of the tower when Name shoved it in initially, and he's got a really nice freeze building up from forcing Mystic to overextend to get CS. And I like that you brought up Rek'Sai is so punishing when playing from ahead in a certain playstyle. It's the radar, the trimmer sense. The fact that Rek'Sai, she wants to invade anyway when your solo lanes are ahead, because obviously if all of your lanes are pushing, hold on.
One is chrono break. He might go all in. Flashes out instead, though. Oh, he already used his ultimate, I see. Couldn't go all in for Xie, but almost gets himself a kill.
Oh.
Xie actually might get it. Q's good there, but doesn't proc the passive 0. He wants it, but Xie just gets out alive.
The flash pool, looking for the bonus damage there from Morgana. That's pretty cute.
That was great, but the binding does not hit 0. Burns a couple of summoners, but forces Xie out of lane, and Korn actually had a potion handy there. Going to be able to stay for at least one more wave.
Okay, but as I was saying back to Rek'Sai, so if your lanes are ahead, and obviously the correct thing to do is play passive, as we see Mystic and Conan here hiding underneath their tower, just waiting for the minion wave to push onto them. It's hard to gank these lanes because they're playing passive, they're trying to stop the bleeding. So what do? You run in and you invade the enemy jungle. And you say, okay, if I can't fight the lanes, I'm going to fight the jungler because I know my lanes will get here first and they'll get here stronger. Yeah,
and it's telling for me that we've seen Klilov actually is a player that comes to mind from EDG. He constantly prioritizes Rek'Sai over Gragas, and you can tell why. He's definitely got strong laners, but it just suits his style as well.
Yeah, I really like Rek'Sai.
Me too. I think she's a great champion here, as you see Insec taking a bit of damage there from Aluka. Spectre's Cal's good here in the matchup there for the Hecarim, but the Revolver's already there. Level 7 now for Insec as well. Vladimir's starting to take control of this lane.
Vladimir's going to be really happy, like you said, level 7. Level 9 is going to be the big power spike because we'll have all 5 points into that queue. Just be able to consistently keep himself up. That said, Spirit looking for a counter gank is spotted out by a ward.
Yep. Actually, there's a couple wards he's walking by now as well. It's Huey looking for a gank there in the mid lane. Xie actually getting bullied around here a bit as well. Morella Nomicon on the way for Korn, who's having a field day on this assassin pick of Echo.
3 assists. He's in a pretty healthy spot as far as his CS and experience goes. 61 to 49 now. Again, we talked about how strong Victor is in the early game just because of how efficient his Hex core is for itemization. But it's really only here to clear waves from. At some point, he will be able to just easily laser the backline and kill it instantly, but until then, he's just hiding under his tower. This Rek'Sai is all over the map.
Yeah, and I mean, Echo is annoying enough, but Rek'Sai adding that additional pressure going to make it tricky. But is it maybe even similar to the last matchup where Xie played Kassadin into that Victor and was able to punish sort of once he got his items? Because, like, I mean, Echo's just so sticky. Like, Victor, again, if you engage on him and he's happy with the engage, it's great. But if you're constantly just gap closing on top of him, he's not a happy man at all.
No, I completely agree. The gravitational field doesn't really mean much against Echo just because he has so many reposition abilities.
Yeah, makes sense there. So nice stuff from Korn, looking good so far. Nami on the top side again, still with that pickaxe, trying to get some damage on us. Huey's going to come back for another visit here. Spirit is in the bottom side looking for Insect, so not going to be here this time, and they might be setting up a dive here at King.
Trying to play with the minion wave. That said, it's kind of an unfortunate timing theory just because the wave is pushing into Mystic and Conan naturally, so there's really no reason for them to step forward to look for that CS.
Nobody saw that.
I did.
Yeah, I did too.
Everyone
Face
saw.
dived into the wall. As Insect's going to get ganked up here by Spirit. Level 6 now for the Gragas. Good ulti by Luca. Insect does have to pull. He pulls early though. Spirit landed the body slam. Ulti's good, but a great flash from Insect. Going to put down the ulti there as well, but nothing left. Is going to get a kill though. Nice trade from Insect.
Okay, so Insect completely fumbles his pool mechanic. Pulled way too early. That said, he's able to trade 1-for-1 with a nice flash to make sure that the cast pushes him forward instead of backwards.
GA now getting ganked as well. Huey and Kong going to close in, but GA not going to fall for that one, standing very far away on the other side to dodge that W. But Kong getting further and further ahead in CS, and top lane's the real problem here. Name really taking over. And we used to see this, I feel like, from Name many years ago, and maybe even early on this year. He can actually bully people in lanes.
I remember a player named Devil.
Yep.
That used to be really good at playing aggressive in his lane, but I think he name changed.
Yeah, to Nami.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't actually know the history,
that's the joke.
That is the joke there. But I agree. I think he's played a lot more like Devil than Nami, at least when we saw him in Spring. And it's nice to see him being aggressive again. You can see, got an early lead in the matchup. He's 30 CS ahead of this Jinx. As Luca's trying to take the grunt, but Huey says, yeah, I can see you. Let's have a smite battle.
Well, that was the big question. You know, this pseudo Starhorn roster, obviously now the King roster, but pretty much, you know, majority of the members, Korn, Insect, things like that, had Kola on the roster for quite a bit. Zero is, you know, what version of Name were you going to get? Because a lot of people think of him as a self-sufficient position-based AD carry, which that has been his trend when he was on EDG in 2014. But if you think back to his positive energy days when he was known as Devil, he was much closer to Uzi and Ampit style.
Yeah, could be aggressive there, as we do see Spirit getting forced out by Huey and Zero. That's going to buy Insect time to proxy this bottom wave and take out the turret. King leading in turrets 2-0, leading in kills 6-1. And that gold lead's getting out of control. 4K up now.
They're just snowballing it so quickly because Rek'Sai has so much control in the enemy jungle since her lanes are ahead. And again, I'm going to keep repeating this, using the Tremor Sense, walking into the jungle, figuring out where Spirit is. And it's so important against WE because you're putting Spirit behind. He is the heart and soul of that team.
He's the spirit of the team.
Yeah.
He is.
I didn't want to say that, but
I had to, I'm sorry.
When Heart's in the game, I'm like, he's the soul of the team.
Yep, I see. Oh, Chie gets bound there. W's going to come in. Does Colin want to dive through? I think he thought about it, but instead they'll just get some damage onto the turret. Nami, good chunking out there with the BF Sword, and the Berserker Greaves now finished up. And you look over at Mystic, still behind here. Got the Average Blade and the BF Sword, but no boots and no pickaxe.
And you'll see this time and time again from the Chinese LPL 80 carries, or even the Korean 80 carries. They build their 2 flat damage items of the Infinity Edge, the BF Sword as well as the Pickaxe, and they immediately upgrade their boots, obviously because the cost efficiency of the stats for taking down towers, the attack speed, and the bonus movement speed is so good at quickly rotating them around. What did Name do? He took the top tier tower, immediately itemized to take more towers, rotated into the lane that's next available.
It's funny because I feel like the person that started that was actually Name. He was the first player I noticed doing it. I don't know if he was actually the first player to do it. I doubt it. But it's interesting. His Jinx was the first. The first time I saw his Jinx this year, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Because he was doing a lot of exactly what you said with that build. So same sort of thing here with Sivir.
Well, he has been a bit of a trendsetter. His Lucian Lucidity boots into Ghostblade. Name was one of the first guys to prioritize CDR and Lucian.
Later the Ruined King.
Yep.
The Name special. It's probably coming out if we get to 4 items here in this game. But King, they are really far ahead in this early game, and they've held onto it and grown this lead very nicely. Got the first dragon, actually, a few minutes ago. So quick, we barely noticed it as Name was too busy transitioning into the mid lane, trying to take another turret. Morellonomicon finished for Con. He's also pushing in these empty waves here, just basically challenging Aluka, saying, you know what, I'm just going to take the free farm in this lane while Name tries to take more towers.
The dive threat is so scary from Echo because he has that reset, which is why you see Huey on the side there looking for a possible flank, and that's just going to be an easy siege as W. You have to give it up. Great
siege set up there by King to get the turret, and Insect down on the bottom side, level 10 at 2-1-1. Got his Will of the Ancients, building a Zhonya's by the looks of things as his next item. And even Zero, I love this from him. Just being like, you know what? When he'll post by, let me know. I'll give him a binding.
And this is also the beauty of starting to rotate your AD carry around the map as opposed to elongating the lane phase, is it unlocks your supports to roam. Now, there was recently an article that came out that talked about kind of the gold disparity between the gold distribution between the regions. And the supports and the junglers have the highest gold distribution in the LPL.
Yep.
And part of it is the fact that there's so many heavy roaming supports. Zero, Mata, PYL, you know, the top tier talent.
Those guys, Mouse.
Mouse?
Oh, not Mouse, sorry, Mako.
Mako.
I meant Mako. Mouse as well, actually, when he was playing, but I did mean Mako there.
Rest
from
in
EDG.
peace, Mouse.
Oh, poor Mouse. I think he's playing on a LPL team. I think. I'm not sure.
I'd have to be reminded.
We'll have to see. As Zero finds a binding onto Spirit, but King just going to get a bit of vision down. Maybe look to reset here. As we do see actually a Sheen now for Korn. Maybe looking for a Lich Bane as his next item. That'd be cute. Very aggressive.
It's nice because when Echo uses his E, he automatically gets a Sheen proc on his very next auto attack, which obviously he zips to. So
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's just, I guess it's weird because I've seen more jungle Echo, more top lane Echo than mid lane Echo, so not as familiar with the mid lane Echo build, hilariously enough.
I think Dade actually rushes Lich Bane on his mid lane Echo.
Does.
Yeah,
Dade, whatever everyone's not doing, Dade's doing that. I can promise you that. Dade has his own builds, his own style, his own jokes about himself. Dade is all-encompassing, a unique individual. But doing pretty well recently in the LPL, I have to say.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at all of these. I'm looking at this mini-map like World Elite are really sending a lot of resources bottom as their mid-tier tower is being completely demolished.
Nami having a fun time again, not leaving these lanes, even has an Avarice Blade for completing the Infinity Edge just again for a bit more greed. And why not here? Good spell shield as well. Going to knock down more shots onto the turret. Got it to about 40% health. And it's going to hoover up these minion waves with Zero, making sure he's A-OK.
I love using the verb hoover.
Yeah. To talk about minion waves being eaten, it's very appropriate. As Korn even working on a split version. In fact, King right now just committing to a 1-3-1.
Yeah, but the beauty of it is the fact that the mid laner and the AD carry are never in the same lane. They're so efficient about using all of the gold and the experience around the map in terms of the minion waves and making sure that it's allocated to the correct places on the AD carry, on the mid laner. You don't ever have two of them in the same lane trying to farm the same waves.
Yeah, never a good look here. And you can see King getting pressure across the map here. I've gotten so much already in this game. Gold lead still growing, by the way. My last checking was 4K up. We're now at 6K up for King. So they've done a lot of work just from, again, that level 1000 gold lead. We talked about them being good one ahead, and they've certainly demonstrated that in the first 17 minutes or so.
It's snowballed into structural advantages, obviously 3-0 in favor of King, but more importantly, CS discrepancies across the board in pretty much every single lane.
And I think we've, again, talked about in this game what really needs to change. The drafts look surprisingly similar here in this game, but you said it already. It's Huey's Rek'Sai. The jungle pressure is just night and day from game 1 and game 2.
This champion is so important. I don't want to call it easy mode jungling, but I think you captured it best. The playstyle that Rek'Sai empowers with invading, with aggressive plays. I mean, Gragas, he can do that too because he's so strong in skirmishes with his W, but it's just not as powerful in kind of a vision pick-based meta as Rek'Sai's Tremor Sense.
Yeah, and it's the vision that really sets those junglers apart. We talk about Rek'Sai, Gragas all of the time. They're easily the two most popular junglers in this metagame. Both very good, both have different strengths and weaknesses, but if you wanted to be very sort of blanket about the differences, much more early pressure available for Gragas, and just that Tremor Sense and crazy vision from Rek'Sai.
And then just the beautiful global map pressure that Rek'Sai opens up when she has her Void Rush, and just how many LPL teams are so consistent with playing with their side wave management. Again, LPL teams are really good at trading objectives and sacrificing when they can't 5v5.
Well, no trading this time for World Elite, unfortunately, as they're going to continue to fall further and further behind. 3-0 up in turrets still, and now with that Dragon, 2-0 down in Dragons, and of course 6-1 down in kills for World Elite. That gold lead still sticking at around the 5-6K mark ahead there for King, but you know that they're going to keep pushing out waves, and eventually they'll find something else. As Mystic, it's quite a bit of damage.
And again, the dive threat from Rek'Sai and Echo as we see Huey and Korn rotating around to the side.
And Insec, meanwhile in the top lane, just having the time of his life on Vladimir, farming away.
He's playing PvE.
He is. This is Insect's happy place. He used to be a jungler, remember?
I mean, his score is, I mean, he's participated in 50% of his team's kills, but I feel like he got most of those in the first, 30 seconds.
Yeah,
and since then, he's just been mowing the lawn.
I think, yes, he has certainly been doing a lot of gardening there in either top or bottom of the map. As Spirit finds Zero. Good ulti.
Oh!
Jeez, GA with the Chaos Storm. That was the easiest kill of his life.
Dunked.
Yeah, absolutely dunked. Although Name going to look to trade his support's life for a tower, but unsuccessful as World Elite transition nicely down to the bottom lane.
Here comes the hard engage, though.
Yep. Conan looking in. Name's got his spell shield. Kites onto the flame choppers, then spell shields them. Nice and aggressive from the Sivir.
A little bit dangerous, though.
Very.
Conan had decided to turn around and just drop the Dredgeline depth charge onto him. That said, Name gets away with the trade, does get some decent damage on that tower, like you said, for Zero's life.
Yeah, and still going down. Still going there as well as Insec also looks at the Scuttle Crab, decides, you know what, life of the jungle wasn't that hot. Let's go back to the top lane. Korn in the mid lane almost has his Lich Bane done as well. IE's been completed for Name. It's just good items across the board. Even an Aegis here for Huey done already.
King trying to find any opportunity they can to force WE to fight them. They now transition into the blue side to take this buff away. But again, they just want the 5v5.
Good smite there by Spirit, though. Gives himself the blue buff. Korn, you can tell he wanted it, but he's not going to get it. Dives instead onto Xie. Gravity Field's down. Teleport here for Insec. Name's going to dive forward. Insect's found Chompers, though. Aluka going to dive through Power Converter. It's going to cut off World Elite. That's an ulti forced up by Hecarim to get him away. And Mystic barely misses being eaten by the binding.
But again, when teams are ahead, you don't just sit in your lane and passively farm and try to siege the towers. You run to the enemy jungle. You force the enemy team to fight you.
And that's what happened. I mean, World Elite didn't lose anyone, but they got a little low. As a result, Korn dives in. Once Mystic goes in deep, pops a Chrono Break after the assassination. Name gets the tower. Aluka going to dive back in on the Hecarim. Insect flashes out. And King get what they want. 2 kills and a turret.
Xie was doing huge damage, though, with his Chaos Storm. I believe he got it across at least 3 members of King at all times, so does force them to back off and not look for more. They take the tower as well as the team fight, but this Victor is still looking very powerful.
That's a fairly handy early Aegis of the Legion, I'll say then. Because that would not be there in a normal game. That's accelerated for Huey, and that pretty much saved their life from Xie, who, you're right, is getting bigger.
And that's the thing. You don't actually consider a Hecarim, Gragas, and Victor composition as a triple threat AP comp, but effectively, you're doing a ton of magic damage in a lot of these compositions. Not just this one, but a lot of them that we're seeing teams run. So Aegis of the Legion is so much more potent.
Yeah, and Locket now as well for a bit of extra effective health. Adds to all those stats as well. Here is Korn going to solo out his own blue buff here. He's also quite strong with his Lich Bane now completed. You can see diving in and out. Mystic. His one big thing in last game was his incredible positioning, but with Korn being ahead, it is so hard for him to get Echo off him.
And likewise, the back threat reach of Rek'Sai, especially when he has this flash available to him to W flash.
Yeah, and just get the Unburrow. Mystic going to have a much tougher game this time around. Not the same support here, honestly, from his team as far as front lane goes, but not bad either for World Elite. So we'll see what they can do. They're still about 7,000 gold behind here in this game. Baron has spawned a few minutes ago, and King looking for the next objective. Got 4 turrets already. Looks like Korn's in the top side trying to make it 5.
Well, a big issue is that there hasn't been a true 5v5 where both teams are lined up across from each other. I like to call it a front-to-back composition as opposed as, you know, getting your front line in front of you and having Jinx stand in the back as this tower surely will go down, and that's what Mystic hasn't had for him.
Spirit goes in, finds Name and Insect. That's going to force the Sivir flash. Insect diving into the front line. Spirit going to get just destroyed, though, as the damage is too much, and Korn dives in, takes out Victor. Mystic trying to do whatever he can, kiting back with the damage. Korn Chrono breaks out as King. Bind Aluka up as well, and Insect playing with fire a bit. Mystic's still alive, but King get 3 free kills. We
were just talking about how WE hadn't had a true 5v5, and again, they didn't. What looked like a fantastic engage from Spirit was actually a 3v5 in disguise as Mystic got to that fight just as Korn was rounding the corner. So Jinx shows up and Echo's right there.
Yeah, and as a result, King get themselves a Baron buffer. Luca does have his ulti and smite. Puts the ward down, going to try and steal it. Doesn't have vision right now. Korn actually zoning him away. Really smart play as the ulti comes in as well. But Aluka can still make it in. He does dive through. Gets 0 actually as a kill. The Baron's still low. Then Name takes out Aluka. Baron goes to King. Mystic dives to Korn. And just very well played to secure the objective.
Korn jumping off into the back line, trying to get as much damage as possible and stall at Aluka so he couldn't look for the steal. He goes in a little bit too early. King do a great job. They back off of the Baron. They sacrifice Zero's life, but they make sure that they secure the objective.
They do, and it looks like Name has changed things up a little bit. Apparently it's no longer 4th item. Blade of the Ruined King has been upped in priority to 3rd item.
Well, there hasn't been a ton of armor items completed on the side of WE. You see the starting of a Frozen Heart on Aluka, but no big armor items, so he doesn't really have to worry about it. So again, it's about being mobile, kiting,
it makes sense.
Name things.
Most AD carries are probably up for a Bloodthirster in this situation, but not Name. He's all about Blade of the Ruined King. And speaking of, I think, personality-fitting item builds, have a peek up there in the top lane. Old Intex got himself a Madraz.
Do or Dade.
Yep, except don't know if we're playing exactly that version of the game here at this point, because this is just Insect being Insect. He feels he's ahead, he knows he can snowball, he's just comfy as Korn. Get a 1v1 of Luca. Luca does not stand a chance and will back away as a result, and King get their third dragon in and amongst all of that.
Korn, again, showing his priority and his comfort on these assassin-like champions. The meta is slowly starting to shift in favor of him, and with that, we could start to see King rise up in the standings if Korn's more comfortable. And
it's funny, because Korn has always been like, he's had the weirdest champion pool, I feel like.
Orianna Fizz.
Yeah, those are not the same champions, right? But I do agree that his assassin play in general has just looked much stronger than his control mages, even though he is an old Orianna player.
And I'm glad that you point out, it is really weird. Orianna's one of his big power picks, but he looks so good on the assassins, especially the Yasuo and now the Echo.
Yeah, looking good on Echo. 6th tower of the game, though, going to King as they're getting work in with this Baron buff now as well. Remember, Insect's ready with his Madrais at any moment. Korn's getting stronger. He's got a needlessly large rod to join in all those other items. And Name's just going to casually push up the mid lane.
They're just out-rotating WE here as they're sieging onto the tower.
Oh, Luca finds Name. Name was tanking the tower. Well, Luca going to dive back in. Locket, good pop there by Huey. Nice block of the ulti as well by the Rek'Sai. But Spirit looking for an engage. Parallel Convergence going to lock him up, though. Now under the Hemo Blake. Spirit's going to eat so much damage. And Insect's now going to pop his on. His Korn Chrono breaks out. Mystic set as Insect dives into the back, but he will go down. Will the Vlad and Korn diving in deep. Huey follows him in. They take out Mystic. Cost them a little bit, but Aluk is the only one left. And Name, Huey, and Zero are going to chase him down.
2 for 5 as well as the inhibitor line. King are just too far ahead, and that was the 5v5 that W needed 10 minutes ago. They finally got it. They had so much more success. It looked good initially at the start of it, but King are just too far ahead now.
They are, and they're even going to chunk out this Nexus turret now as well. The first one will fall. I don't think they can end the game right now, but they're going to do so much damage to World Elite structures.
They've got so much gold to go home and spend now. King are in complete control. You do have late game threats on the side of WE.
I love King's Korean players. Zero is joining the party as well. He also wants to play on Duo or Dada, everyone's favorite LPL game show. He has a Madrais as well on his Morgana.
What he needs to do is he needs to bait Insect into an engagement and then just let him die so he has more stacks.
And then collect all the stacks. Beautiful strategies here as Korn, speaking of real AP item, actually does have a Rabbit on Death completed now.
Sir? Madrais is a real AP item. Well, here is the teleport.
Luca coming in, Name spell shielding though. Huey going to try and kite him around. Name needs to walk back, hasn't spent his gold, but Insect's now down here as well. Wants to collect some Madrais stacks, gets caught in the gravity field as Spirit ultis him back in, but Zero's now here, ready to collect the stacks. That ulti missed somehow for Mystic. And King will only lose one.
See, I'm telling you, Zero was looking at Insect. Go in, go in.
Yelling at him in Korean. Come on, man, you got this. I know you can go in. Delicious. Gets all the stacks.
Obviously, the big issue was the fact that Korn was on completely the wrong side of the map right there, so it was a 4v5. That said, WE, they're not able to do anything with their pick as they need to respond to the pressure created in mid lane.
Yep. Although now Aluk is going to join into that pressure in top lane, so he'll be able to maybe stop some of the bleeding, but does have to be careful. Not a whole lot of magic resist right now up against this pretty heavy AP composition.
Korn is so good at using the parallel converters. Obviously, he didn't hit it there, but throughout this entire game, he's been really creative about how he throws it from Fog of War and kind of setting up people to walk into it.
Yeah, for me, that's been the biggest separation between the good Echo players and the great Echo players. Korn's Echo, in particular, one of his first plays on the champion, in a loss that EDG suffered, he was doing some really smart stuff with that ability. Pretty much like putting it in the lane and then dashing on top of them and being like, you have nowhere to run.
Yep.
It's good. Good stuff here. Always nice to see players that are significantly better than me play, especially cool champions like Echo, but thankfully there's a lot of those players in the LPL. In fact, all of them.
I'm really excited to kind of see the evolution of Echo and his playstyle. I really do think that still in China, he's found a lot more success. Not in standings or percentages, just in kind of how teams are using him from the jungle position. Although there are a lot of standout mid-lane Echo players like Korn, like Rookie, Cool, things like that.
Yeah, I think in general, we've always looked at China as being a very skirmish and teamfight heavy region, and Echo brings so much to all of that sort of thing.
It's just how they use his so much CC and just his choke point potential. They're so good at fighting around terrain, not just in the jungle itself with those skirmishes, but even on champions when Jarvan was super popular in the LPL, how they would use the Cataclysm to cut off choke points and reshape fights.
You can see right now Korn is being a nuisance with his Echo. Good Chaos Storm into Gravity Field, catches Name, shut down there for Conan and his Nautilus. But Korn, I think, is 1v2ing. No, never mind. The Luca forced to back away, but Korn not there once again here, and World Elite get a good catch on Tanami.
King sacrificing a ton of their momentum and pressure by not grouping up. I mean, you're stronger in the 5v5. There's no reason to be split pushing with your Echo if your other team is getting caught up like that.
No, I mean, they're still so far ahead. 13,000 gold at least here for King that I don't think they mind too much, but it is interesting to see them be so ahead and make so many mistakes, because King were a team that closed out very efficiently when they were ahead in their wins. And I think it might have something to do with the two Magi's currently on their team. Again, maybe feeling very comfortable at this point in the game. That's what I'll call that.
I hope Zero's ahead on stacks.
I think he is. Insect's died, I think, more times with Magi's. So given that one has 3 deaths, the other has 2, I'm willing to say that Zero has more stacks as Spirit. Getting caught up by Korn, that's just too much damage from Echo.
There we go. Echo's really powerful. Get him involved with your your skirmishes. Win the game.
He's powerful. Get him in your games.
Get him in your games.
This is Froskurin's daily soldier advertisement for Echo.
Ace analysis. I think Echo's really strong.
Well, I'd have to agree, and Korn's played it nicely here in this game. Going to try and zone people out, but World Elite not even interested in the Baron that King are currently doing. Instead, pinging onto the Dragon. Going to at least try and get the consolation prize, but Huey does have his ultimate. No tunnels in the area, but Korn is already trying to stop them. In fact, Zero's there as well.
They're going to get it, though.
Yep, Dragon does go to World Elite by the looks of things. Aluka will smite that away. Good gravity field cuts him off. Conan barely getting hit by that binding, so nice spacing there. Ulti's around as well. Might have been caught here, though, as Name goes in for the auto. I thought he wanted to flash the wall, but he reconsiders for a moment, and Mystic's the target they really want to get here. If they can, Insect flashes forward as a result, goes onto a Mystic, almost kills him in a few spell rotations. Huey dives in. Insect gets the kill. Flash binding onto Shie, though, for Zero. And now Insect, Huey, and the rest of King are going to dive right on top, and Spirit's got nowhere left to go.
King are just running over WE. The reach of Rek'Sai and the CC lock of Echo as Zero running towards the base. I think he's expecting a surrender and he's not getting it.
Yeah, not at all. In fact, the inhibitor respawns, so Insect going to face tank the turret, but that's a good candidate for it as well. Good paralock awareness for Korn. Great binding as well. They'll just dive onto Aluka, make sure he's dead. They'll get the ace, they'll take the base, and that'll be a win for King.
That is a 1-1 split between the two last place teams. That said, we were curious what version of either of them was going to show up. First game, a fantastic draft from WE. They got their players on the power picks that they needed, and they ran over the game. Second game, King adjusts their strategy. I said it was in the Rek'Sai pick, and I'm going to stand by that. Rek'Sai is the carry of King right now.
Well, it seems to be so far here as Spirit. Little dejected looking after that game. Sort of thinks, you know what, I wish I had Rek'Sai that game. Because Huey did play a fantastic game, but I think you're right. We saw the two best versions of these teams in this series, and that shows a lot of promise for them. As you get Insect hobbling around on his crutches. Apparently, he's still recovering from his leg from last split.
I mean, obviously, they don't sit very high in the standings. This is, of course, the bottom of the barrel for LPL.